I grew up in a sprawling mansion in North Shore, Chicago, where my parents measured success by appearance, status, and wealth. From age 10, I was the family oddball, preferring coding to contact sports computer screens to country clubs. While my parents showcased my brother at social events, I remained hidden in my room building digital worlds they dismissed as worthless fantasies. Little did they know, those same skills they mocked would one day redefine success on my own terms. Before I tell you how I transformed their ridicule into my greatest motivation, let me know where you are watching from and hit subscribe if you have ever been underestimated by those closest to you. My childhood home looked like something from a luxury real estate magazine: 6 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms, an indoor pool, and manicured gardens that required a full-time staff. Our neighborhood was exclusive, the kind where neighbors competed over who had the most impressive holiday decorations or the newest luxury car parked in their circular driveway. My father Thomas built his empire from the ground up. The son of working-class immigrants, he had transformed a small property management company into one of Chicago's premier luxury real estate developers. His success story was legendary in business circles. Dad was charismatic, commanding, and intimidating all at once. He spent most weekends at his private golf club networking with other powerful men who could help expand his business interests. Appearances meant everything to him. My mother, Patricia, was a former beauty queen turned socialite. She managed several high-profile charity organizations, though her true passion was maintaining her position at the top of Chicago's social hierarchy. She hosted elaborate dinner parties, sat on museum boards, and could destroy someone's social standing with a single comment. Mother was obsessed with image, both hers and the family's. Then there was my brother Adam. 3 years older, he embodied everything my parents valued. Captain of the football team, prom king straight-A student, headed for an Ivy League business degree. Handsome and charming, he knew exactly how to work a room. Dad was grooming him to take over the family business, introducing him to important contacts from the time he was 16. And then there was me, Ivan, the family anomaly. My love affair with technology began on my 10th birthday, when my parents gave me my first computer. It was not the gaming system I had hoped for, but a practical desktop my father insisted would help with schoolwork. That machine became my portal to another world. Within 6 months, I had taught myself basic coding, creating simple games and programs that fascinated me but puzzled my family. While Adam attended football practices and social functions, I spent hours in my room learning programming languages, participating in online forums, and developing increasingly complex projects. My parents viewed my passion as a peculiar phase I would eventually outgrow. My only real friend during those years was Will, whose family lived 3 houses down. Unlike the other kids whose parents socialized with mine, Will shared my fascination with technology. His father worked in telecommunications, so their house was always filled with the latest gadgets. We spent countless afternoons taking apart electronics, building primitive robots, and coding small applications. In Will, I found the acceptance and understanding I craved but never received at home. By high school, the divide between my passions and my family's expectations had grown into an unbridgeable chasm. Dad regularly commented that I should get my head out of the clouds and focus on something practical. Mother worried about my lack of social connections, constantly trying to introduce me to the daughters of her friends. Adam, now attending Northwestern University's business program, rarely missed an opportunity to label me the family weirdo during his visits home. Despite this backdrop of disapproval, I excelled academically, particularly in mathematics, physics, and computer science. My teachers recognized my potential, encouraging me to apply to top technical universities. When acceptance letters started arriving during my senior year, I felt a surge of validation I had never experienced before. The day my MIT acceptance arrived remains vivid in my memory. I stood in the driveway, hands trembling as I tore open the envelope. Reading the congratulatory first line, a wave of emotion washed over me. Finally, I had proof that my interests were not just valid, but valuable. Prestigious institutions recognized what my family could not see. I was not just a disappointing second son, but a person with genuine talent and potential. That evening, I decided to share my news at dinner. For once, I thought they would have to acknowledge my accomplishments. For once, I would see pride in my father's eyes when he looked at me. For once, my path would seem as legitimate as the one Adam was following. I spent hours rehearsing how I would announce it, imagining their surprised faces and congratulatory responses. Maybe Dad would even propose a toast, as he had done when Adam received his Northwestern acceptance. Perhaps Mother would call her friends to share the news the way she did after Adam's football victories. With the acceptance letter tucked in my pocket, I entered the dining room that evening filled with uncharacteristic hope. For the first time in years, I felt I had achieved something that even they could not dismiss. Our family dinners were formal affairs even when no guests were present. The long mahogany table could seat 16, though usually it was just the four of us spread out, as if we needed physical distance to match our emotional separation. That night, the housekeeper had prepared my father's favorite roast beef. Mother was discussing her upcoming charity gala, while Dad and Adam talked business strategy. I waited until there was a natural pause in the conversation before clearing my throat. "I have some news," I announced, trying to keep my voice steady. 3 pairs of eyes turned toward me with varying degrees of interest. "I received my acceptance letter from MIT today. Full admission to their computer science program." The silence that followed was not the stunned admiration I had hoped for. Mother spoke first, her tone cautious. "Massachusetts. That is quite far, Ivan." Dad put down his fork. "MIT. What exactly do you plan to do with that kind of degree?" Before I could answer, Adam laughed. "He is going to create the next big video game. Right, little brother? Make millions selling fantasy worlds to other nerds." I felt my face growing hot. Actually, MIT has one of the best entrepreneurship programs in the country. Their graduates have founded companies worth billions. Dad waved his hand dismissively. "Technology startups are a gamble. 90% fail within the first year. Real estate is tangible, something you can see and touch, something that holds value." "Times are changing," I countered. "Digital companies are the future." "The future," my father repeated, his voice hardening. "Let me tell you about the future, Ivan. You can play with your computers at MIT if that is what you want. But after graduation, you will need to grow up and join the real world. You will get a business degree and take your place in the company just like your brother." Mother reached across the table to pat my hand, her diamond bracelet catching the light. "We just want what is best for you, darling. All this computer business is fine as a hobby, but it is not a real career for someone from our family." "Maybe he could manage the company website," Adam suggested with a smirk. I looked from one family member to another, the letter in my pocket, suddenly feeling heavy. The hope I had carried into dinner evaporated, replaced by a familiar sense of alienation. I had been naive to expect anything different. The next 4 years at MIT transformed me in ways my family could never understand. During my freshman year, I still called home regularly, eager to share my experiences and accomplishments. I told them about the programming competition I had won, the professor who had taken me under his wing, the research project I had been invited to join. Each time I was met with polite disinterest or redirected to discussions about the family business. By sophomore year, the calls became less frequent. Then came the bombshell. Dad called one evening to inform me he was reducing my financial support. "You need to learn the value of money," he explained. "Adam worked during college. It builds character." What he did not mention was that Adam had worked a cushy, high-paying internship at Dad's company, arranged specifically for him. I found myself taking odd jobs around campus, coding websites for local businesses and tutoring other students in programming. Every hour spent working was an hour taken away from my projects and studies, but I refused to complain or ask for help. Junior year, I stayed at school during Thanksgiving and Christmas breaks telling my family I needed to work. The truth was, I could not bear the thought of another holiday filled with subtle jabs and comparisons to Adam. I spent those quiet campus days developing what would later become the foundation for my startup. By senior year, the pressure to return to Chicago after graduation had become relentless. Dad called weekly, with updates about the position he was creating for me. Mother sent links to condominiums near their home that would be perfect for a young professional. Adam, now a rising star in the family business, texted frequently about how we would finally be a team. None of them asked about my plans or dreams. Meanwhile, I was pouring every spare moment into my secret project. Together with 3 classmates, I was building a digital platform that would revolutionize how real estate transactions were conducted. The irony of disrupting my father's industry was not lost on me, but our innovation went far beyond anything his traditional company could imagine. We worked through nights in cramped dorm rooms, fueled by cheap coffee and ambition. We skipped parties, social events, and sometimes even classes to refine our platform. By graduation, we had a working prototype, but needed capital to launch properly. My parents organized a graduation celebration at their country club. The guest list included family, friends, business associates, and distant relatives I barely remembered. The evening was clearly designed to welcome me back into the fold and introduce me as the newest member of the family business. Dad raised a toast midway through dinner. To Ivan, who finally finishes his computer phase and joins the real world of Westfield Properties, polite laughter rippled through the crowd. Adam slapped me on the back. "No more hiding behind screens, brother. Time to learn the family trade." As dessert was served, Mother sidled up to me. "We have scheduled meetings for you next week with our top clients, and the tailor will come on Tuesday for your new work wardrobe." I looked around the room at the familiar faces, all assuming they knew my future better than I did. A lifetime of dismissal and underestimation crystallized into a moment of clarity. I could not, would not surrender my dreams to become a smaller version of my father and brother. Later that night, Dad cornered me on the terrace. "I need your answer tonight, Ivan. Are you joining the company next month, or do I need to find someone else for the position?" I took a deep breath. "I appreciate the offer, Dad, but I have other plans." His face darkened. "Other plans? What exactly does that mean?" "I am starting my own company, a digital real estate platform that will transform how properties are bought and sold." He laughed, but there was no humor in it. "With what money, what experience? You know nothing about real estate." "I know technology. I have partners who believe in our vision. Listen to me carefully," he said, his voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. "If you reject this opportunity, do not expect any financial support from me. No safety net, no connections, nothing." Mother appeared at his side, her face a mask of concern. "Ivan, darling, do not throw away everything we have built for you. Do not disappoint us again." Again. The word hit like a physical blow. In their eyes, my entire existence had been a series of disappointments. "I am sorry you feel that way," I said quietly, "but I need to follow my own path." Adam joined us, sensing tension. "Having second thoughts about real work, little brother. Afraid you cannot hack it in the real world. 3 against 1. As always, that night, in my childhood bedroom, surrounded by science fair trophies and computer parts, I made my decision. I packed 2 suitcases with essentials and left a letter on my bed explaining that I needed to forge my own path. At 3 in the morning, I slipped out of the house that had never truly felt like home and caught a bus to Boston with $200 in my wallet and a dream that refused to die. The first months were brutal. My 3 partners and I rented a dilapidated 2-bedroom apartment in a questionable neighborhood. We converted the living room into our office, sleeping in shifts because we did not have enough beds. Our diet consisted mainly of ramen noodles, peanut butter sandwiches, and the cheapest coffee we could find. We worked 18-hour days refining our platform and pitching to potential investors. The rejections piled up quickly. Venture capitalists doubted our experience. Angel investors questioned our business model. Incubators told us the market was too competitive. By rejection 27, our confidence was shaken but not broken. We adjusted our pitch, refined our prototype, and kept pushing forward. My family had cut me off completely. My calls went unanswered, my emails ignored. Through mutual friends, I heard rumors that my father told people I had suffered a nervous breakdown and needed time to find myself. The narrative was clear. I was the family failure, the cautionary tale, the disappointment who could not handle real responsibility. 6 months into our venture disaster struck. Just days before our most promising investor meeting, we discovered a catastrophic flaw in our platform's security system. The entire back end needed to be rebuilt, a process that would take weeks we did not have. Our bank account was down to the last few $100s. One partner had already taken a night job to help cover rent. Then came the second blow. Will, my childhood friend, who had joined our team as lead designer, called a meeting. "I cannot do this anymore," he announced, unable to meet my eyes. "My parents are getting divorced. I need stability, a regular paycheck." A company in San Francisco offered me a position. I felt betrayed, but could not blame him. We had been surviving on hope for months, and hope does not pay bills or provide health insurance. After Will left, our remaining team huddled in our makeshift office, trying to salvage what remained of our dream. That night, I did not sleep. For 72 straight hours, I coded, redesigned, problem-solved, and pushed through barriers of exhaustion I did not know existed. By the morning of our investor meeting, I had reconstructed enough of the platform to make it functional, though barely. The meeting was scheduled at a coffee shop because we could not afford to rent a proper conference room. I arrived early, disheveled, and running on nothing but adrenaline and convenience store coffee. When Jamie Stewart, the investor, arrived, he looked nothing like I expected. No suit, no briefcase, just jeans and a casual button-down shirt. He was younger than I anticipated, maybe early 30s, with an intense gaze that seemed to evaluate everything instantly. "So show me what you have built," he said, after brief introductions. With shaking hands, I opened my laptop and began the demonstration. Halfway through, the prototype crashed. Jamie raised an eyebrow as I frantically tried to restart it. Sweat beaded on my forehead. This was our last chance, and I was blowing it. "Stop," Jamie said suddenly. "Forget the demo. Tell me why you are doing this. What problem are you solving that nobody else can?" The question caught me off guard. For the next 20 minutes, I spoke from the heart about our vision, the gaps in the current real estate market, and how our platform could democratize access to property investment. I talked about creating transparency in an industry built on information asymmetry. I shared stories of people who could benefit from our innovation. When I finally stopped talking, Jamie was silent for a long moment. Then he smiled. "You have passion. I like that. But passion does not guarantee success." "No," I agreed. "But it guarantees we will not quit when things get hard." "I am prepared to offer you $5 million in funding," he said finally. "But I want 60% ownership and control of the board." My heart raced. $5 million would solve all our immediate problems. We could hire developers, move to a real office, pay ourselves actual salaries. But 60% meant losing control of our vision. It meant potentially becoming employees in our own company, subject to the same kind of control I had fled from my family. I thought about my father, about his dismissal of my dreams, about the years of feeling undervalued and misunderstood. I thought about how easy it would be to take this offer to finally have validation and security. The old Ivan would have grabbed it instantly. But I was not that person anymore. "Thank you for the offer," I said carefully, but we are not willing to give up majority control. We believe too strongly in our vision." Jamie looked surprised, then intrigued. Most desperate founders would take any deal at this stage. We are not most founders, and our desperation does not outweigh our commitment to building this the right way. As I walked out of that coffee shop, having turned down $5 million, I felt a strange mixture of terror and exhilaration. I had no idea how we would survive the next month, let alone build a successful company. But for the first time in my life, I had stood firm in my convictions, refusing to compromise what mattered most. That seemingly disastrous meeting turned out to be our turning point. Instead of giving up, we pivoted. If we could not secure major funding, we would launch with what we had. We narrowed our focus to a specific segment of the real estate market that larger platforms were ignoring: suburban rental properties for middle-income families. We simplified our features to focus on what worked flawlessly. We launched a bare-bones version of our platform and actively recruited early users by visiting local real estate offices and property management companies. The response was slow at first, then surprisingly enthusiastic. Small property managers appreciated our personalized approach and attention to their specific needs. We listened to their feedback and made improvements weekly. Within a month, we had 500 active users. By month 3, that number had grown to 3,000. A small tech blog picked up our story, highlighting us as an underdog disrupting the space. That article caught the attention of TechCrunch, which ran a feature on our company. Suddenly, investors who had rejected us were calling. Users were signing up faster than we could handle. We were growing organically, without the massive cash infusion we had thought we needed. 6 months after turning down Jamie's offer, we secured a spot in a prestigious startup accelerator program. Their investment was smaller, just $750,000, but they only took 8% equity and provided mentorship that proved invaluable. Our team expanded to 12 people. We moved into a real office. For the first time, I paid myself a modest but livable salary. By our 1-year anniversary, we had raised a proper funding round at an $8 million valuation while maintaining majority control. Our user base had grown to 50,000 active accounts. Revenue was steadily increasing. We were not an overnight success, but we were building something sustainable and true to our original vision. I had been so focused on our company that I barely thought about my family anymore. Then came an unexpected call from Adam. "We need to talk," he said, his voice lacking its usual confidence. "Dad wants to meet." The meeting took place at a neutral location, an upscale restaurant downtown. My parents and Adam were already seated when I arrived. I barely recognized my father. He seemed older, smaller somehow. Mother looked tense, her smile strained as she rose to greet me. "You are looking well," she said, examining my appearance with surprise. I was wearing a simple button-down and jeans, not the designer suits Adam favored, but I was well-groomed and carried myself with a confidence I had never possessed under their roof. Dad got straight to the point. "Your little company has been getting attention. Some of our clients have mentioned it." I nodded but said nothing. "We could form a strategic partnership," he continued. "Westfield Properties has the industry connections you lack. Together, we could expand your platform nationwide." I understood then why they had reached out. It was not reconciliation they wanted, but acquisition. My success was only valuable to them if it could be absorbed into their world. "Thank you for the offer," I replied, echoing the words I had used with Jamie a year earlier, "but we are doing well on our own. Our growth is steady, and our investors are happy." "Do not be stubborn," Adam interjected. "This is a golden opportunity. Dad is offering to bring you into the fold even after you walked away." I looked at my brother, seeing clearly for the first time how limited his vision was. He could only imagine success on our father's terms. "I did not walk away from the family," I said quietly. "I walked toward my own future. There is a difference." Mother reached for my hand across the table. "We just want what is best for you, Ivan." "No," I replied gently, removing my hand from hers. "You want what is most comfortable for you. What fits your understanding of success?" I have found my own definition. The conversation grew tense after that. Dad made veiled threats about competing directly with my platform. Adam suggested I was being ungrateful. Mother tried to guilt me with talk of family loyalty, but their words no longer had power over me. I had built something valuable on my own terms, and nothing they said could diminish that achievement. As I stood to leave, I made one final statement. "I would love to have a relationship with all of you, but it needs to be based on mutual respect, not on my surrender to your expectations. When you are ready for that, I will be here." 5 years have passed since that dinner. Our company has grown beyond my wildest dreams, with offices in 6 cities and over 200 employees. Last year, Forbes included me in their 30 Under 30 list for revolutionizing real estate technology. The validation feels good, but it is not what drives me. My relationship with my family has slowly begun to heal. It started with occasional text messages from Mother, then a lunch with Adam when he was in Boston for business. Dad took longer, but eventually sent an email congratulating me on a major industry award. Small steps, but meaningful ones. The journey of healing myself was just as gradual. I worked with a therapist to process the years of feeling inadequate and misunderstood. I built a network of friends and colleagues who value me for who I am, not for who they want me to be. I learned to recognize my own worth, independent of external validation. Perhaps the most profound lesson I learned was that true success is not proving critics wrong, but discovering and honoring your authentic path. My parents' rejection did not define me. Instead, it freed me to find my own definition of a life well lived. Sometimes I wonder if I would have found the same inner strength and passion had they supported me from the beginning. Would I have pushed myself as hard? Would I have developed the resilience that carried me through the darkest times? Their dismissal of my dreams became the fuel that propelled me forward. Today, I mentor young entrepreneurs who, like me, are following unconventional paths. I tell them what I wish someone had told me, that sometimes those who oppose you most strongly are inadvertently pushing you closer to your true destiny, that rejection can be redirection, that the opinions that matter most are rarely the loudest ones. Have you ever had someone underestimate you only to use that as motivation to succeed? Share your story in the comments below. If this journey resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more stories of transformation. And if you know someone who needs this reminder that their unique path has value, share this video with them. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, sometimes the greatest success comes from having the courage to define it on your own terms.